Shake it. You can also like this. You can, it's similar to the tabata. 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop.
We're an Agile Learning Center, which means we're a self-directed center. In our neighborhood, kids have to go to public school because both parents are working, so there's nobody to stay at home with them and homeschool them. So that's what our center is for, is to give kids that opportunity to be in a space, not only where they can learn and do interesting things, but just to be themselves, and not have that kind of oppressive structure of school telling them where to go and where to sit and when to do work and when to be happy and when to talk to people. It's just like all of that is gone. It's just freedom here. Our unique feature is that we specialize in helping kids with disabilities. So our kids have autism or ADHD or intellectual disabilities, and so we're helping them learn to be independent and successful in the context of having those disabilities. The self-directed education movement has always kind of come from middle-class white people. They're majority white spaces. And so for a Black kid to come in, first of all, there's the culture shock of self-directed learning and all these kids are doing what they want. But then there's, what are the microaggressions that are going to happen to that kid while they're in this space? What are the facilitators or the other kids going to say to the parents? What assumptions are they making about the parents and the kids? And so that's just another hurdle that kind of makes it harder to be yourself in a self-directed learning space. And so that's why we try and be like blackity black here, because we want the kids to feel comfortable. So it's important to be in this neighborhood because this is like the historically Black neighborhood of Gastonia. Gastonia is a southern town, a typical kind of place. There was a lot of segregation. They couldn't work in the mills, so a lot of them were maids or janitors or truck drivers. And, it was important to recognize that, the Black community, they organized themselves. So the Highland neighborhood has always been a center for, culture and art and education. We had our own little community here. So it was important to try and reach the people where they are. And so that's kind of why we built Gastonia Freedom School. Most of the organizations are doing a really good job in regards to racial equity and understanding, what marginalized people go through. I think they see this as something important and integral to the liberation of kids. Racial equity is not just like an add-on. Diversity is not just something that you want and is nice to have. It's something that's required. So self-directed education is perfect for that because they can be in a space that caters to their interests. Or, me as a facilitator, I can bring them things that they want to keep doing. So our kids in our space, they have one thing that they want to do and they'll do it every single day, and that's perfectly fine. Autistic kids want some control over their environment just because of the sensory issues. In this space, they can choose, okay, I'm going to go into this room that's quiet, or I'm going to go into this room that's noisy. I'm going to eat my lunch now because I'm feeling hungry. When you're dealing with disabilities, it is an actual, neurological disability. There are self-regulation issues, there's social skills. So there's a lot of support that kids need in that area because, again, they haven't been given that agency to say, this is bothering me or I don't like it. We need to give them that voice to say, I don't want this. That's something where, it might just take a different method of teaching to help them understand. When it comes to autistic kids, they have very specific things that they like to do. The world that's going on in an autistic brain is completely valid and completely okay and is just welcome. And we don't want kids growing up thinking, I'm wrong because this feels weird. I'm reacting in a way that people didn't expect, so now I'm the bad guy. We want people just to be themselves. And so in this space, they can be themselves. We say in self-directed learning that kids are learning all the time, and so they're always changing. Even if you can't see it and you think they're just wasting their time, they're actually growing and changing. They're going to do that their entire lives. I think self-directed learning is about recognizing that growth. The most important outcome of self-directed learning is that somebody is happy.